When I speak to more technical audiences, I usually start by asking if people know Booking.com, but I think for this particular audience, I can skip that one. But since it is my first EyeforTravel conference, maybe I can ask you a question. So there are many things I can say, but to make sure that I target what I say. So maybe by raising hands, who of you is actually working in data science, building models, trying to act, say, on the digital and data strategy? Okay. And who is here primarily to learn about strategy, how you should act as a company and build things for your customer? Right. So of the first group, I think you'll have the skills to follow along to pick up some interesting details, but I'll try to target mostly that second group. And then maybe last question, who is looking at this space for more than a year? Okay, I had expected more actually. So then maybe if you look at this for more than a year, you must have encountered this quote. It's Dan Ariely's from 2013. Big data is like teenage sex. Everybody's talking about it, but nobody's doing it. And this, of course, it always makes me smile when I see that one. But things have moved on, of course. This was 2013, so now we're 2017. It's a completely different world. So we don't talk about big data anymore. We talk about machine learning and AI. It's a bit of a joke, but it is a sign that there is this huge hype building, fear of missing out. I started my PhD in machine learning in 2000, attended my first conference in machine learning in 1998, and I always have to keep track on how this thing is called these days. This was knowledge discovery in databases, information retrieval, analytics, advanced analytics, big data. And so indeed, when Fortune recognized me, they called me Big Data All-Star. I was proud enough, so I didn't mind what they called me. But now we are at a point where what I call myself and what the hype calls this thing is the same thing, which on the one hand is good. Sort of finally, maybe people understanding better what's under the hood. Otherwise, I'm also a little bit scared, because now if people get fed up with the name, then I would be quite attached to this one. But apart from the hype, it is real. So we saw Jürgen's presentation this morning. There's chess, there's Go, but there's self-driving cars. I can talk to my phone. There are very many things that now really all of a sudden actually work. And the main point of this talk actually, so yes, it works. So it makes sense for you to look at it. It's not just hype, there's substance, but it is very, very hard. Harder than you might think. And I've learned that the painful way. So when I joined Booking 2.5 years ago, I came, knowing many complicated algorithms, having done many deep technical things in the past. So, putting a set of hotels in right order, right? How hard can it be? And with me, pretty much everybody that comes with my style of background to the company goes through the same humbling experience, where you come, you know all the incredible things that you can build. You have this beautiful customer hypothesis, either from your own trip or for your mothers or your friends, and say, look, this is really broken, and I will go and build this. So a beautiful hypothesis there, very sophisticated technology, like Da Vinci's image here in the background. And then when you build it and you test it, so another question, who here has heard of A/B testing? Okay, that's very good for the 10% that didn't just raise their hand. It's very important, particularly in digital domains. It's very easy to run experiments. So as a customer comes into your digital store, you toss a coin, you either give the old version or the new version that you think will be really improving on what you had before, right? And then you can accurately measure, looking at long-term customer satisfaction signals, did you actually manage to improve the thing? And then our experience is, very often, the customer just says no. You built this with all the passion and the technology that you had, it's just not the right thing. And that A/B testing is therefore also very important. So it came up yesterday on a panel discussion, what does it take to be an analytics-first company, and how should you do that? And data and A/B testing is essential also in how you organize yourself on how to build this. So this is maybe a graphic of a traditional company where you have the CEO at the top, you have several layers of management that give directives, a product is built, and then the customer can decide to buy the product, yes or no. Yeah, that's a very static one. A/B testing allows to invert that pyramid. And that's what we do. So we have autonomous teams that sit at the top of the pyramid. They listen to the customer through experiments, and they can go very fast. They don't need to ask permission. They can set scope, and other than that, they can experiment and really see what customers would want and what works. And the rest of the organization is essentially just there to support them. And so that there has two big advantages. First, you can go very fast. Well, I've been in traditional companies like you see on the left. And so there what typically happens is that you have this beautiful idea and you need to go up this ladder getting signatures for a go-ahead to try this. And at every point in that ladder, people think, if this works, then this geek here will look very good. If it doesn't, I miss my end-of-year bonus. Right? So that there's a lot of friction for good ideas then to even start. And so the first part of my career, some of my proudest moments was when I actually managed to get things to even start. So it's slow. The second thing, then when people have signed off on such a high-risk thing, there's also a big incentive at the end of it to sell it as a success, even if it wasn't. Right? And in the way we have set ourselves up, the people that support this organization will be proud if things go fast, and failing is part of what that is all about. So things can start, and things can fail, and that can look good on everybody, pretty much. There is a rate of failure that you want to accept. If nothing fails, then you're not ambitious enough. Right? So it's a very important big difference. So how you set yourself up is essential. So it is difficult, but not impossible. So I'm actually quite proud now at Booking. We have, in pretty much all parts of the business, machine learning is an essential part of our customer journey. Right? So if you book a room today at Booking.com, you'd be one of approximately 1.4 million people doing so. And all along that journey, there are essential steps of essential machine learning components that make that better. For instance, if you come through a commercial channel like Google, which keywords we associate ourselves with, how much we bid, comes from machine learning algorithm. If you don't know where to go, you want to suggestions on destination, come from machine learning algorithm. If you already know where you want to go, but which of these 8,000 hotels in Rome should you choose, machine learning algorithm will do that for you. They'll help that. If you picked a hotel to look at more closely, which things we highlight for you in your context is driven by machine learning algorithm. Maybe not of your concern, but for us, but when we accept a payment, there's a lot of fraud detection behind the scenes, of course. If you run into trouble, you need customer service, then there is automation of customer service, there's prediction, what type of customer agents, in which language do we need to have ready for you to answer your call. If it's very urgent, and we detect that, we might even have you jump the queue, and so on and so forth. Just the entire journey, and our experience is all of these things had to iterate quite a bit for their first success. And as we improve it, our success rate is far from 100%. So given that success, then I don't know if you caught this, but Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, earlier this year, said, okay, Google is an AI-first company now. That's echoing maybe the mobile-first statement on how important mobile all of a sudden had become. Not to miss the boat on AI. This is directive, AI first. So we thought for ourselves, okay, what does that mean? What does that mean for us? We see that we have lots of data, we have success with machine learning, we have success with AI. Should we call ourselves an AI-first company? Right? And then the answer for us was no. So we call ourselves, my answer is it's a customer-first AI. That's what we do. So the customer comes first, and then we make sure that wherever machine learning and AI can help, it will do so. But it's never the hammer where we go run around with. And so to give that a little bit of color, a few examples. So for instance, chatbots or voice. So right now, in the last half year, we see all the examples are mimicking WhatsApp style interface. A year ago, most of the startups and companies that would approach me, you should buy my startup technology, was something like you have your point, your click and type interface, and then you have a very light voice or messaging layer on top of that. If you look at that, that is clearly not a great experience for the customer. So we will go through this long road and iteration of when does this work, how does it work, how should that fit with the UI component, right? So the presentation in Kiwi this morning in customer service, they said, well, no, at this point it is only supporting humans, not human-facing yet. These type of learnings. So I'm not claiming that I know already where this thing will end. We know that we have to listen, see what works and doesn't work, experiment a lot. And that is not just the people that know the LSTMs and the deep neural nets. That is very much also with people that understand customers, product, design, copy, a full-scale team to make that work. Other interesting story, machine translation, for instance. We serve our customers in 42 different languages, so it's not too far-fetched to think that machine translation could help us serve our customers better. So we did an experiment with the previous generation technology. We built out a system, and we compared that. So the best open general system that we could find was by a search engine, a big search engine whose name starts with a G. And we compared that with the system that we built in-house. And then, so the open system is in blue for different languages. Orange is our in-house system. Big is better. And so we beat this millions and millions worth of investments. Why? We tailored it to our domain. So a view in our domain is never a political view, it's always a view from a hotel room. So we're still roughly in the age where vertical specific solutions outperform the general ones. And then customer first, so as soon as we could, we put this in front of customers to say, okay, would this be good enough to help solve problems? And then the feedback was quite clear that the quality wasn't good enough. So we put that in the fridge for a while. Last year there was the breakthrough that several groups figured out how to connect the deep neural network technology to this problem, and there was this big boost in improvement, which made that the general neural net-based solution outperformed our in-house system. So we quickly ramped up, had our own deep neural net-based solution. And so now we've seen that big improvement also in-house. And now we also see that for the first time there are tasks where customers are really helped by using these type of systems. It was a nice breakthrough, and also good that we didn't do a massive investment a few years ago. Maybe last example, again very humbling for me, that we were looking at ranking and recommendation of hotels. There was a team had an idea, came to me. I said, oh man, that's hideous. That's not even mathematically correct. That's just, oh. But the intuition behind it was clear, and testing is cheap. I said, go and do it. And of course it worked beautifully. And then when you look back, then you could see, you could reverse engineer why that would work. And then when you see why it works, then you can improve it and you can extend it. But the lesson here was it was something extremely simple. Something extremely simple and indeed not even mathematically correct. So I liked the train line presentation this morning. I didn't know if you caught that, but in the cartoon of the sophisticated math, there was an average. But that's actually a good thing, right? You start with the simplest possible thing. So I thought it was actually nice that they put it there. Okay, in terms of lessons learned, we have very many lessons learned. I wanted to highlight two for you. As you go and build out these things, it takes more skills than just machine learning. So yes, you should hire talent. I think the next talk will dive into that. It might be difficult for you as you're smaller to do that. So it's right that you focus on that, but you need to complement that with people that really know customers, design, copy. That is proven for us to be very useful. And secondly, it is surprisingly hard. So the first hypothesis that you have, the first demo that you built, might demo very well, but it might not actually work. So it is very worthwhile to invest in your experimentation setup to be honest to yourself, to make sure that you really put advances out and not just things that demo well. And then to recall that the way you set yourself up, you should set yourself up in a way that the project that starts can end with the decision, okay, this is not working for our customers yet. Right? Otherwise, you won't even be able to come up to that conclusion. So we're at the start of, we still feel at the start, although we have very many successes behind us, we still see that as a start. There are very many beautiful things possible from here. Nuno talked about chatbots. There's of course a beautiful vision of always-on personalized travel assistant that guides you before your trip, in trip, and so on. So the most beautiful thing we would love to build, we have in mind. And I'm also here to say that Amsterdam is a beautiful place. We're growing and we're hiring all roles, all levels. Thanks a lot. If there are any questions, I'm very happy to take them.
By the way, like the phrase, there's a certain rate of failure. I find that the right nuance, because I thought at a certain point the aspect of failing has been stigmatized too much. It felt like companies need to permanently fail to be successful, which is somehow against all logic. So I like the term of there's a certain rate of failure. It doesn't mean that you only want to fail. So it's, I think that's a very healthy one. Okay.
Great, thank you. So I was just curious to know, when it comes to hiring, data scientists, what do you typically look for? And I guess what you look for, how has it changed over the last, 10, 5, 2 years in terms of what makes a good data scientist to your team?
It's a hard question, and it is controversial is maybe not the right word, but if you ask 5 people, you get 5 different answers. And in fact, one of my big worries, or the things where I invest my time, is again to look at the organization of how can we organize ourselves such that we can accept a broad range of skills. Data science is a term, when 2014, when they got the award, was big data, where data science didn't exist. So this is something from the last 3 years. It spans from people that know databases and can make sure a millisecond serve time all around the world of your fancy models, to people that really are near entrepreneurs, commercially aware. And I want to be able to span that entire range. And that means that we need to be able to recognize those talents, and also be able to make sure that people are placed in teams and situations where we can accept some weaker links, that somebody's very commercially aware, but you shouldn't ask them to set up a database. So long answer is difficult. We look for people that are technically autonomous and are very commercially aware. And now that we're bigger, we have 150 data scientists. Now that we're bigger, we actively try to make sure that we can differentiate and allow people to specialize.